Recording in progress.
Welcome to Planning Commission, March 25th here in Payson. We appreciate having actually some people in the audience. Usually we don't have that, so thank you for being here. I've asked Commissioner Adams to give us an opening prayer.
All right, Father, we're thankful to be here today. Help us do the right choices for the city and be the best benefit for the people of the city. And help us throughout our days and help us throughout our life.
Amen.
And then I forgot to mention who's here. We have Commissioner Hamuli, Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Beecher, and Commissioner Frisbee. So, and here comes, we got one more commissioner, so we'll wait for her to get here too. So you get to walk up here and be in front of everybody and so we do have a quorum, can't do business, so that's good. Appreciate it. All right. Did everybody have a chance to review the consent agenda items? 3.1, which is the approval of minutes from our March 11th meeting.
Yes.
Any comments or questions?
Nope.
I need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 11th Planning Commission meeting.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor by yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. Public forum. This is a chance for the public to tell us something that isn't on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, we'll get to it in a minute. If you don't know what's on the agendas are in the back pocket back there. Okay. Doesn't look like there's any public forum issues. So we'll go to item 5.1, which is public hearing. Zoning map amendment. Guy Williams, on behalf of several landowners, is requesting a zone change from MH1 to MH2. I'm pretty sure Michael's going to give us some information on that. So we're going to let him do that. I'm not going to read off the numbers that it constitutes because Michael will cover that in a minute. So.
Okay. All right. Let me get this started. So as was stated, the request is for a zone change, and this body won't see it, but there would be a development agreement with this zone change.
If we elect to recommend approval, we need to recommend approval to include the proposed.
I think that's fine. I don't know that it matters,
but it wouldn't be a bad idea to include that.
Correct.
I think so. If we do recommend, that's what we need to do. That it includes the development agreement.
I think that would be fine. You just include that in your motion. That would be fine if that's what you decide.
If we did like to do that.
To include what? The
development agreement.
Development agreement. Thanks.
Okay, so to give you some perspective here, tonight we're only making a recommendation. So Planning Commission's role is a recommendation to City Council, whether it's approve, deny, that would be what you would be doing tonight. City Council makes an actual decision on this change. So any kind of motions that you make or anything like that, please make sure that your motions is a recommendation to do this or a recommendation to do that. Let you kind of get oriented to the area here. Zooming in, keep an eye on the little hashed box. I think most people know this area. So there in that red rectangular box is the vicinity of this property just south of Gladstone Golf Course. The current zoning there is the MH1, which stands for Mountain and Hillside Zone 1. And the request is for Mountain and Hillside Zone 2. The primary difference between those is density. In the Mountain and Hillside 1, you can have one housing unit per 10 acres. And in the Mountain and Hillside 2, you can have 1 per acre, and it even has some flexibility that you can have smaller lots than that, provided that the overall density of your development is 1 per acre. So continuing on, this is a concept layout. At the very bottom of the screen there, that is the Gladstone Drive that approaches into the golf course. And that cul-de-sac is the proposed concept road for some potential lots there. And those are the concept layout of what those lots would look like. So a total of 14 of them there. One thing to also point out is that, I don't know why it keeps advancing on me, to point out is each of these lots will be in excess of a half acre, some of them even up to an acre or more. So large lots here. They'll be custom executive homes that would be no tract type housing, no housing that's going to be looking the same as the one next to it or anything like that. Each one of them would be customly designed and built. And that's going to be something that the property owners desire, but also something that we would have identified and detailed in the development agreement. Talking about development agreement, these are several things that city staff have come up with that need to be addressed and ensure are part of that agreement. The city would require an easement going through the golf course. The reason being is the easiest and most beneficial way for the applicant would be to run the sewer line down one of the fairways and then into the parking lot near the RV park in the golf course. And so staff feels as if it's appropriate to have that easement. Yes, it's all city property. That doesn't mean it'll always be city property. There might be some reason that the golf course gets sold or whatever, but that's why an easement is important to have, so the city can maintain and utilize and take care of that, even if for some reason the property wasn't in their ownership in the future. Another concern is timing of when those sewer improvements would be installed. As you know, there's people that like to golf and they don't want to have trenches to fall into. And so our golf pros also talked about wanting to reduce that impact by doing any kind of improvements for that line during off season. And that way it can also help to revitalize grass and things like that for a little bit of time before people actually are starting to golf again on that. Another item that the golf pro wanted us to mention is an understanding to the current property owners and future property owners, if this is rezoned and subdivided, that there is a golf course there and there is impacts on residents. Namely, there's golf balls and they might come into your yard. But another thing that the golf pro mentioned is they have loudspeakers and they'll yell out, "It's tea time" at 5:30 in the morning. And so that's something that needs to be known and understood. Again, coming back with the golf course and the vicinity to this area and wanting to maintain an attractive look and feel, it's being requested that a site obscuring fence that's attractive and blends in with the environment would be a separator between the golf course and any of the homes. And then also slope retention. This image here is an example that the applicant shared as a possible fencing product for slope retention. That way it looks natural and not just any kind of concrete retaining wall, but it actually looks like stone natural belongs there. And then finally, I already mentioned it to some degree, but in the development agreement, we would request for executive style homes that blend with the environment and are attractive from all sides. So adding to that, there's a little bit that the applicants provided that they want to see in the agreement. Some of it's duplicative, but so I'm going to just show that here. It would be all single family homes, detached and custom designed. high quality architecture, balancing the massing and scale of the homes, articulated elevations that are visible on all sides. The minimum home size, excluding garages, porches, and basements, would be 3,000 square feet. So these are large homes. I'm not going to read all of those on the record. You can see that they're up there, but they would blend in with the environment as much as possible. Their exterior materials would be a variety of materials that will complement the area. Garages would be integrated into the home design and not incredibly visually prominent. Driveways, there's things on there to help talk about how driveways would be enhanced. Exterior lighting, low level, downcast, and dark sky compliant. And then the applicant puts a few things here that they would want to explicitly prohibit. And so you can see those items listed on there. Here are a few sample home products that the applicant provided. These are just stock photos, so it's not like any one of these homes is particularly going to be built, but this is the intent of the style and look of some of the homes that they would want to consider for this area. So tonight, staff would recommend approval of this zone change. One thing that I do need to mention, and we've just found out very recently, was in the public hearing notice, there was a small parcel that this zone change affects that wasn't noted on that hearing notice.
That was one of my notes.
And so talking to our city attorney, he recommends that we do this public hearing again. And so we'll do it as soon as possible, which will be April 8th. And we'll send out the courtesy notices and whatnot, just so that everybody knows and it's all parcels involved. But it's really going to be duplicative of what is talked about here tonight. And with that being said, I would just ask if you have any questions before you open a public hearing.
So you mentioned the one parcel. Why isn't, go back to your map. So the one parcel you mentioned, no, go back to the one that with the concept on it. The one parcel you mentioned is over on that east side, over on the right-hand side is what you're talking about, right?
If I can get my cursor up there. There's like a little
There's
triangular,
the triangular shaped piece right there.
here.
Yeah.
And it's owned by Ryrie. I don't know if it's Ryrie LLC or what.
It's owned by some of the same people that own some of these other parcels.
Ryrie also owns the top northeastern
Right.
portion. So they're aware of it and they're in favor of the zone change. But we just want to make sure that all those I's are
Okay, so
dotted
the other
and T's are
question I
crossed.
had about property on this is why isn't the parcel south of the two small lots to the west of Gladstone, why isn't that parcel included when it's the same ownership?
This one here.
Yeah.
We talked about that, and I know that the property owner there actually reached out to us about that.
Well, they're the owners, it appears to me. That they're
Right.
The same owners as
They
some
are
of
the
other-
owners of
That
some
piece
property
there.
right here. I
Right.
think it would be part of these two lots. So yes, they talked to us about that. At the time, the applicant didn't put that together in their proposal, so it's not in this request. And the applicant was wanting to move this along as quickly as possible if they could. And so that's really the nature of it. I don't know that they wouldn't be uninterested in participating since they do have their other parcel. And perhaps that can be something that could be considered in the future, but we wanted to process the applicant's request as they presented it to us.
Couple other land issues I had questions on. I believe it's lot, whatever the first one is, just northeast of the intersection of Gladstone and the cul-de-sac.
This one?
No, northeast of the intersection. That one up. Not that one, that one. to the left there, that one.
Okay.
What lot number is that?
It's too small for me to see, but I think
Yeah, that was my
I
problem.
think it's oriented that that one is number one and it goes around, but I'm
Okay.
not certain. But
Well, whatever lot number is on that concept, on the county mapping, the parking lot for the golf course is in that property.
yes, I noticed that, and obviously, with a subdivision, you're going to need to identify all of your property
Right.
boundaries. We also have, you can see that little triangle in the top.
The other one was the
cornermost.
triangle piece. What was going to happen with that? That's got greens on it or something on it.
There's actually the city golf course sign right there. You can see a little
Right.
diagonal rectangle in that top corner. So yes, there's question about that. I think that's something we would just handle in the subdivision process if the zone
Okay.
change is approved.
And then the only other question I had was the alignment of Gladstone Drive does not match the right of way. It goes in and out of the right of way.
Are
Are
you
we going to
saying-
straighten out the Gladstone Drive? Or are
I'm-
we going to have,
I'm going to leave that to our engineers to
Okay.
discuss. I don't know, but
those are the kind of things I look at, sorry.
yeah, that will be reviewed at the subdivision level.
Okay.
Some of it has to do with access and entering that new intersection,
Right.
but I don't know those answers.
Okay. Oh, and then the other question I have is our ordinance is a little bit vague on, at least in my opinion, on units per acre as to what that constitutes. Is it units per acre of buildable land? Is it units per acre of total land? Is it units per acre of, are the roads excluded? All those kind of things. And so
So yes, our ordinance is a little bit sketchy on that currently. I think the design and the layout, provided it works with utilities and with the road and those sort of things, I think we were fine with this potential development. But yes, we are aware of that for density and things moving forward that we're trying to come up with that. Part of that was with that public hearing we had last meeting with the different plans and the ordinances that we brought to you. So we're working on that.
because there's about 14.3 acres of all the land that they have consolidated there, but some of that's taken up with roads.
Right.
So
Okay.
something we still need to work on, I take it. So
Yeah.
those are my questions. Anybody else have any questions?
I'm just curious, utilities is right there where the dotted lines are, about middle on the up.
So this current, in the concept provided for this zone change application, yes, you can see those dotted lines going north. That's where it's showing the utility easement for the sewer. In the subdivision application that was just submitted to us yesterday, they're proposing it between, we'll call that one lot on the top left, number one, and the lot next to it, number two. So between lots 2 and 3 is where they're proposing it.
They're changing, move it over just one more lot then.
Well, that's what they're proposing. Now,
Okay.
whether or not it works, that's going to be
With the
something that
engineer.
Public Works and Engineering would have to determine. So
I just kind of try to get an eyeball where it's,
where it's proposed on here would be a straight shot going just through the middle of the fairway, and then it could actually end up right in the parking lot of the.
go through 6 and 9.
Yeah, it would just be a straight shot.
I'm glad you know what the golf course looks like. So
Number 9 is one of my favorite.
it's number 9's your hole. Okay.
Okay, that's all I got.
Anybody else have any questions before we open it up for a public hearing?
Okay.
Okay, I need a motion to open a public hearing.
Make a motion to open a public hearing on this proposal from going from Mountain Hillside 1 to Mountain Hillside 2.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second it?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor with yes?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Okay, this is an opportunity for the public to come and tell us what your feelings and thoughts are on this. Please come to the microphone, state your name, and try to keep your comments to about 3 minutes or so. Yeah, come on up to the microphone and tell us your name.
Anyway, my first question was that, I'm sorry, Brett Williams. I'm sorry. Brett Williams,
Thank you.
and I live at Gladstone Manor, which is the last house on Elk Ridge, right on the border of Payson. So I live kitty corner to this property.
So, yeah,
So I live up here. So yeah, that would be north facing. So I'd be living down there. So my first question, because I'm just looking at the map provided by the developer that's up there. That top line right there isn't the golf course. That top line, I think, is another strip of property between the golf course and this proposed development. So I think there's one more property that needs to be evaluated or looked at in between those two.
I think you're referring, there's a Ryrie property is there and I think it's JBH properties. Those two property owners are
part of this.
are aware of this. And
Okay.
from what I understand, the intent is to go all the way to the property line.
Those two properties were included in the,
I'm not sure how accurate that is.
Okay. I just wasn't. Anyway. So anyway, I live Gladstone. I hike this hillside every single day, sometimes twice a day with my dogs. Beautiful hillside, wonderful. But if you haven't physically gone there, you need to go there before you make this vote because the slopes on these hillsides are incredible. From the top of 12, which is this one here, to the bottom of 12, it's probably 90 to 100 feet drop. It's just incredible slope straight down. Those beautiful houses that we saw pictures of, you'd never be able to build them. The slopes are just way too steep to put any of that kind of development. A good 80% of the property, I think, is unbuildable because the slopes are so high. So what I wanted to come up and say and ask is for you guys to go walk it and take a look around. Two things will probably happen. First thing is you're going to fall on your butt as you walk down the slope because I often do. It's just so steep. And the second thing that's going to happen is you try to walk back up, you're going to be out of breath because it is a hike. I don't know if you guys have numbers, but it must be 200-300 feet from the bottom to the top. It's huge. It is quite a change in elevation. So that's my biggest concern. Is just how steep everything is going to be. And even the road that we're proposing here, that's going to drop down and just become a bobsled ride that they're just going to go right into. I'm glad that's a green spot right there because the cars are just going to slide right into that green spot. It's way too steep for any kind of safe road to be built. And so that would be my concern. So as I look at this, my takeaway is this feels like a high risk project for the city in terms of future lawsuits when the hill starts sliding or the development doesn't work, and I just don't see much of an upside. These properties you're not going to be able to build very big houses on them. They're just too steep. It's just not workable. So I worry there's high liability with low return in terms of building a 3,000 square foot house on that. Good luck. Good luck. So that would be my concern.
all right. Thank you for your input.
Go walk.
Just come on up. You can fight over who comes up first. So
My name is Gary Winterton. I'm president of Suburban Land Corporation. And first of all, yes, we would love to get that zone change. We just thought we'd focus on this little bit right now.
I just wondered why it wasn't included. So,
But because they're working on phase one.
Okay.
And they've talked with me about phase two. And he's right, it does slope down, but we worked with Payson. We gave so much ground for the golf course so that they could build it and the roads going to the clubhouse. And we worked with Payson City to develop a plat, which, what's your name? Brent actually bought a piece of ground through meets and bounds of our original plat.
Mhm.
And so that was ours. And we had, I think it was 11 lots that the Payson City Council was really interested in doing at the time, but they were concerned about the sewer situation. And they hated to give us septic tank approval based on, because there was a bunch of other people that would love to have developed at that time. And so we worked very closely with Payson City. Who was the manager at that time in 1988? Mickles?
No, I don't remember.
But anyway, I'd look up and see. I'd have to look at the thing, but he was a city manager and he helped us form this.
Uh-huh.
And so the reason the road is not quite on is because Payson was in such a hurry to get that they had to have that ground done quickly so that they could make the deal.
Yeah.
And so they put the road, maybe it doesn't quite match up. But I also believe that there is enough room. I've seen houses that start out level and then they drop down. And he's right, it does drop down. But I do believe, and I think at the time Payson City also believed, that there was ample room. We had, like I said, we were basically ready to go with 11 lots. Now this zone change, we're grateful for, and we want the zone, we want to be changed. And I think that the development that they're proposing is really the type of development that should be there. It's beautiful ground. The views, like Brett said, are spectacular. And that's why we kept it. And that's why we're still holding it until we could find the right developer and the right development to put that in.
Are you one of the applicants? Did I?
I'm not an applicant,
Okay.
but what I am, I'm a property owner on that.
Okay.
What happened was my mother has just passed away 2 months ago, and we're dealing
Sorry to
with
hear
estate issues right now and trying to make sure that we do that properly.
Okay.
And it's a couple months, but I do feel very comfortable that we are going to be able to work something out. I've talked with John, and I feel comfortable with the things that they're proposing, and I look forward to working with them. So I'm in support of this zone change, and I appreciate the time.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
If you have any questions for me, I was there at the meetings in 1988, so I know, I remember. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is John Wright. I reside in Arizona. I've enjoyed my trips out here to Utah, and it would definitely be a place to live. It's beautiful. I first want to compliment the staff that we've been working with for the last 8 months. They've been wonderful. I work in California, I work in Arizona, and now in Utah. And this is probably the best staff that I've ever sat in front of, that were optimistic, and they fed me the information I needed to present this development. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've done it. I've even done it in Cabo, where you'd swear that it was a wall you were building on. And what I found out is engineers earn their money, and I have an excellent engineer that has designed this road and kept the slope. Because my first question to him is, I don't want people sliding down that when it's icy. We got to make sure that we have retaining walls and the things to make sure that that street coming in is going to be very pleasant to drive on. And I think he's come up with a remarkable design. I think staff has liked it. And we've gone through a few things and changes and red lines, but I think we've got it. But again, I leave it to the engineers. I'm not an engineer, so I hold a lot of confidence in the one that I have here with Guy Williams, who does specialize in hillside lots. When I first got this property, it had a van on it, a limo, and some things that weren't very attractive. And that's what you get with vacant land if it sits around long enough. But so I got rid of that, and I got a few compliments for getting rid of it, which was no problem. But when I first stepped on that property, I was overwhelmed how beautiful it was, the view. I was impressed with the golf course. Back in Arizona, we built a golf course first, and then we built a development around it. In this case, the golf course is there and it's done right. It's beautiful. And this hill's sitting there in a perfect spot with these incredible views. Now, I understand Brett's concerned. He's got a house that's going to be up above it. I would, he's there first, but just because you get there first doesn't mean you're the only one that gets it. You got to share a little bit. So, but anyway, I have a lot of confidence. I put a lot of money in this, and I continue to put a lot of money in this because it's a very valuable piece of property with some great amenities, and it should just be a fabulous project when we're done. You saw this type of homes that we expect. We've built some of those homes on more steep hills than that, and you just have to design. When I created the guidelines for the builder, he's got an envelope that he has to stay within, and he can't go outside of that envelope. And each lot will, when you're done grading it, will have an envelope that will be buildable on that will definitely prove to last for years. But so I've just got nothing but compliments on the land, on the staff, and impressed with Payson, Utah. Just told my realtor today, we were out walking. I said, I could live here very easily. This is the same weather I got in Arizona today. So, but anyway, so I've enjoyed coming out here. Enjoyed meeting a lot of good people, and I think we got a viable project here. And I think it's going to be a real bonus for the city of Payson to have a development that's going to look like this. This is definitely a high end. They're not cheap, the lots, and and I already have 4 reservations, and we put the sign on the property, just people going to the golf course. I've got just riddled with phone calls. I've got all kinds of builders approaching me. So it's a pretty hot property. And I've gotten to know Gary well, and we've been working close to make sure that his main concern was the integrity of the property and what was going to be built on it. That was my first meeting with him. That's his first discussion with me, and I have the same desire. And Riri, good people, Kevin and Kent, they were all for this, and John Hatfield loves what we're doing. So we have really good support by our adjacent landowners. And this, and just how I ended up going this direction was I came in with my piece, which was 9 acres in the middle. Well, that produced 10 homes, and it produced 10 homes like track home. You drive in and it'd be all lined up. And the city, I think maybe it was Michael, he said, what's the chance of going and getting that other land next door, and let's make really something special. So I had not thought of that. So I started meeting the guys, and we put it together, and here we are. And I think it's too bad we couldn't get Mickelson. That's the 5 acres on
that southwest
on that
corner.
south side.
Southeast corner.
And I thought it was a better project with him in there. It would have been to do the whole hillside, but he's going to come around. I mean, I'm talking to him, and we kind of designed it so if he does come along, we won't ruin the integrity of what we have designed. So, but anyway, I appreciate the time and all your efforts, and I appreciate the staff you have. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Rob Haddock, I'm the mayor of Elk Ridge. Love the golf course. I live on the south back up to the bottom of it. So yeah, it is beautiful. The one concern I have is I think there are state regulations that say you can only go so far on a dead end street and only have so many residences with just one in and out. I know you guys are familiar with the fire, and trying to evacuate wasn't fun, and we've grown since then. So that's one concern I have. I think you're going to need another ingress or egress rather than just Gladstand, because there's probably a dozen homes on that already, and so yeah, I'd encourage you to look at those regulations. And yeah, I think it'd be great to include a trail plan to connect these people to 4-bay trails. Something we've been trying to figure out for a long time. But yeah, during development, it'd be a great time to do it. Other than that, just, yeah, sewer and water questions. We'll be connecting what you anticipate and the needs and things. So, yeah, happy to work with you through those things, but those are just a couple thoughts I had.
Okay, thank you.
And then the trailer park connection, would love to get that paved. Gravel and dust gets tracked onto our roads, 9 months out of the year. And we've talked it and re-talked it, but yeah, would love to work through that also. But thank you for time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Brett Campbell. I live on the 9th hole, so I'm the furthest house down.
Okay.
And I just wanted to talk about, I know some people in my city don't care about the deer, but I do. And I've watched them for 5 years, and there's groups of 40 deer that have their babies in there, that are in there every day going to water. So I'm afraid it's going to break them up and probably make more people coming at them or whatever they're doing to kill them, to get them out of there. But I think it's their natural environment, and I don't think that we should. I'm opposed to this.
Okay. Thank
It's
you.
gonna break up my view, and it is steep. So that's my take.
Thank you for your input.
Hey, I'm Charles Nunn. I live at 2092 East Gladstone, so I'm the house on that ridge closest to the golf course. I I'm a little disappointed. I thought there'd be some fist fights, contention. I mean, I really thought I was coming to something to be entertaining, but I'm also a little disappointed. It feels like this thing is very fluid, and I've not been to a meeting for something like this before, but I thought we would see like a final presentation to be approved. So I'm surprised we're coming to.
At this stage where it's just a zone change, it's
That's all we're doing.
concept only.
All right,
So,
then I won't complain about that. I have a couple concerns. I tried to think about the benefits of this. Really, I came up with a little bit of tax revenue for the city, maybe a little increase in population base. Obviously, if you start with the pros, you're leaning cons, so I'll go to that. I am concerned about the steepness of that lot. When you walk down beside it, it's much steeper than it looks. The plat map, I think it's called a plat map. Anyway, the picture on the advertisement is pretty deceptive. I don't think it's intentional, but it looks much flatter than it actually is. And I do think that's going to be an issue. There are pedestrians on that roadway. It's not designed for people to walk on it. You're going to add 14 houses more of people that are trying to walk on that pavement in the evening. You got golfers coming in and out. They're late to tee times and they're lit on the way home. I get to watch the 14th hole from my back porch. We have a lot of fun watching golf courts go off the sides, watching people tripping, falling, stumbling. And I know, and I see them when they come out, there is no speed enforcement on that street. You haven't had to deal with that as a city yet because it's just a dead end street. We're the only house that's in the city on that street. I don't think anybody's ever raised a ruckus over it, but it is not uncommon to have trucks going through there at 50, 60, 65 miles an hour. It's a fun hill to go up, I understand, but it is dangerous. So I'm concerned. I got a little pup. He doesn't always do what I tell him. He's going to get run over. We got pedestrians on the side of the road that it is dangerous for. When I'm out walking, and there's a lot of neighbors that come up that hill in the evening. I don't know if you're going to try and add something to the side of the road to make it safe, but as soon as you add 14 more houses to that, and you've got 14 more families coming in and out, and it is a beautiful area. You're going to have families bringing friends and other people up to it. It's definitely going to increase the traffic on a road that I don't think is designed for it. It's not plowed in the winter. If the Elk Ridge snowplow driver is in a good mood and happens to come down the hill, we get that benefit. Otherwise, we had to snow blow that road twice this winter. So you're going to have to take on snow removal all the way down during the winter, I would assume. And I think there's some expenses that haven't been thought about. My biggest concern that I have personally is the traffic on the road, the speeding, the DUIs that right now don't get dealt with. And it's fine. We're the only house. I mean, the Elk Ridge people deal with it, right? As people are coming out, but we're the only house that you guys would have to deal with. If you add another subdivision in there, what you're doing is inviting more people to get hurt, I think, on that road. And so at least take that into mind as you consider this with the zoning. That may not be your issue, but I would hope you would consider that seriously. So I think that's all I have. Thanks.
All right,
Thanks for listening.
thank you.
to me. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Marlene Wilcox. I live in Elk Ridge, but I own property in Payson. I've done development in Elk Ridge some 20 years ago. Everything I hear from the people that are opposed, we heard it then. I walk my dog on the property. You know, and it just kind of amazes me because I do own property in both cities. I would never presume to come up and say, I have my property, but I don't want anybody else to be able to use their property in a way that's beneficial to them. And so when I hear that, I feel like that should not be something that is used to determine yes or no in regards to development. If the development doesn't work, but if you're able to engineer it in a way that the engineers and the state and based on ordinances and your ordinances and your and state, laws, then that's what a development should be based on. And if the zoning doesn't conform to what's already there in existing homes around it, that's also this. I understand this is a zoning change, and I think that's a big issue, is that if you've got a small portions of land that are right next to existing lots that are in a zone, and the homes and the property and the landscape is similar, you should not be having a separate zone in areas that are existing homes that have allowed others to benefit from their property. And that's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? No other comments from the public? I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing on the proposal from MH1 to MH2.
I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor by yes?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Okay, discussion, commissioners.
I'm just clarifying then that based on what staff presented, that based on the piece of the parcel that was not indicated in the announcement or how it was sent out to the public, that we would need to hold and table this until the meeting on the 8th before
Is
making
that
the
what you were saying,
recommendation.
Michael, is that we need to table it, or do we act on this and then do it again?
So our legal counsel has said, since that parcel was excluded from the notice, that he would recommend we have a second public hearing, just to be perfectly transparent that all parcels involved. That doesn't change staff's recommendation, but it may be advisable to
remember,
table.
commissioners, this is a concept. So if that's not included in the original, it doesn't change really the concept.
Yeah, I was reading lower in there just as far as because that was omitted, that we wouldn't, in order to be fair, in order to have a proper public hearing, that we would have to redo this on the 8th. Is that correct, Michael?
Well, legal counsel has said that we should have another public hearing that notifies about every parcel.
And I respect legal counsel.
The 8th is the recommended date, but it would, so.
Okay. I just want that clarification then. Thank you. It's the only question I had.
So my only thought would be, is there a way in the development agreement to protect a right of way so that at some point when that 5 acres there on the south side gets included, they could bring a road back out to where it wasn't just to a cul-de-sac, but
Well, this 5 acres that he's talking about,
Right.
is this right here.
Right.
It fronts Gladstone.
right. And so once that gets somehow developed, whether it's 10 years down the road or whatever, we could bring a road and make a loop out
And make a loop instead of a cul-de-sac.
a cul-de-sac. But that would be my only thought, is to protect a right of way through there that says, hey, at future development, then this would get tied in so that
I
It's
think,
not just a-
I mean, that's obviously depends on how lot layout and things would work, slopes. But the applicant did share with us a concept that actually looped that as a road when they were considering trying to acquire the Mickelson property. So I think conceptually that may work. Now, whether or not it can work to actually be put into an agreement and then done, I don't know, but that could definitely be something that could be considered.
that's really my one kind of thought, is that we keep that open so that at some point that can be tied in. I'm not a huge fan of cul-de-sacs, but I also realize there's constraints.
What's our
to-
standard on cul-de-sac length? Just out of curiosity.
It's 10 units, I think, per
Well,
cul-de-sac, isn't it?
Well, it's a distance and 10 units.
Yeah.
Is it?
I'm going to defer that to the fire department that's not here.
Yeah.
But I believe, I want to say it's 500 feet.
Yeah, I was thinking 450, 500 feet ish was our code.
So our code is, yeah, it's going to be it bases it on the dead end of that street. So it would base it from Gladstone to the end of this development. That's how fire code is written. So.
Commissioner Adams, any comments? No. Commissioner Brincroft,
No.
are we ready to make a motion? Remember, this is a recommendation to City Council.
So I would make a motion that we make a favorable recommendation to city council for the zone change pending a additional public hearing at a future date, as well as that there would be a development agreement in place. And as part of that development agreement, we do address possible access later from the cul-de-sac as additional development occurs.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Let's do. Yes. Yes, you may.
To approve, but just with one more here, so you're making a recommendation on the zone change tonight? Or are
Yes.
you tabling it and then making a recommendation at the next?
No.
We're making a recommendation for the zone change tonight, and then,
After another public hearing on at the future date.
or do we want to recommend tabling it
I would recommend that you table it
and just,
and have the second public hearing.
Okay.
And then make your recommendation to the city council after it was properly noticed and everyone's had an opportunity to respond to the request, including the additional parcel.
Okay.
So, and then the only other thing I was going to mention too is there was a lot of conversation tonight about subdivision related improvements, which is common.
right.
That happens all the time with zone change.
It does.
Just want to provide clarification that yes, there is a concept layout with
And
the
that's
zone
all it
change.
is.
The subdivision has been approved. Staff is doing a review now. Subdivision will be done at a staff level. So if there are any development related concerns, you would need to address those at the zone change level. Otherwise, I mean, it's a separation of a legislative decision and an administrative decision.
Right.
So just wanted to clarify that. I think there's a lot of great comments that were made from the public and from the applicant tonight. All those things will be discussed with the subdivision or be reviewed with the subdivision. But one that was mentioned, a couple of things that were mentioned that could change, not necessarily the zone, but could change the number of units. There was slope analysis, which I believe that the applicant has done a lot of review into the slope, but whether or not that's included as part of the subdivision application, I'm not sure. The gross versus net, just clarification on the zone. It is based on gross density in the MH1 zone, and that was by design.
Okay.
Noticing that there's a lot of slope that is in or on the hillsides. We want development to occur on the most appropriate portions of the property. And so rather than say, we just want somebody to come in and do mass grading on a piece of property and completely change the dynamics of the property, like everyone's mentioned tonight, we want to protect the slopes, the vegetation. We want to keep as much of that hillside environment there.
Right.
So to avoid mass grading and somebody completely changing, we do gross density. It's gross density 1 unit per acre density. So if you have 14 acres, like the applicant,
Right.
you can have 14 lots. Doesn't mean that you have to have 1 acre lots.
No.
It just means we're going to put 14 homes in the most appropriate location on the property,
Okay.
which the applicant has been working towards. So just anyway, where we're talking about zone change, we have the public here, we have other communities here. I just wanted to mention that that is very important to Payson City, is making sure we place the homes. I did appreciate the applicant's response to that building envelopes. That's one thing that we will look at with subdivision is you've got these lots, but we're gonna have a building envelope of where the home can actually be built on that lot. Anyway, so just a couple of things on that, but it did want to make sure that the Planning Commission knew that when you're making that recommendation to the City Council, the subdivision, the review of the subdivision and the implementation of those subdivision requirements would be done at a staff level.
Thank you. Ryan, would you like to?
Yes, I will.
So
amend
Jill
We'll do more than that.
misspoke.
We'll
The
just
city has,
do additional moment.
the
Okay.
city has accepted the subdivision application. It has
sorry.
not been
Sorry,
approved.
Sorry,
So
yes, I did misspeak there. Yes, sorry. So thank you for that clarification. Yes, we've accepted the
application.
application and it's under review, but
It's
subdivision.
it's
the
subject
zone
to
changes
this.
before the subdivision.
Right.
We typically like them to be run concurrently. The subdivision is just lagging a little bit behind the zone change because I think if they were being run concurrently, I think it would address a lot of the questions that were actually raised tonight. We would have more response to the neighbors in the area of how those things would be addressed. So anyway, yes, thank you, Michael, for correcting me on that.
I believe Ryan would like to withdraw his
Yes.
motion.
We'll make a new motion then.
So formally
So-
withdraw your motion.
Yes, we'll withdraw the previous motion. So,
Kepi, you're good with that? Did he withdraw?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
so then we'd like to make a motion that we table this item until we can have an additional public hearing to address or make sure that the proper notices are all in place.
Okay.
I'll second that then.
I have a motion and a second. Let's go roll call. Commissioner Frisbee?
Yes.
Commissioner Beecher? Yes. Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Brinkerhoff?
Yes.
And Commissioner Hamuli?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll table this till probably April 8th, it sounds like.
that's what we're planning for.
Okay. And then we'll discuss it again and you're all welcome again. We love to have you here. So. And you can bring up the same points. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. So. All right. Let's go to staff reports. Anything from staff? The four that are here?
There are some changes after the legislatures happened that we would be lovely time to share with you those. We will bring that to you sometime in the near future. So stay tuned.
Some of them are just quite entertaining too.
Some of them have to do specifically with planning commission and
Right.
composition and appointment and all that sort of stuff. So we will make sure to bring that to you in the future. My guess is probably in May after they do a legislative review for all of the cities and towns. And so we'll bring that to you then.
Okay.
That's all I have at this time.
Any other staff? Commissioners, do you have anything you'd like to bring up? Okay. Did you have something?
Nope.
All right, I need one more last motion.
Move, we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor with yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. It's really good to have somebody here.